Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 87. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra from beautiful Savage, Minnesota, joined by my friend on the Atlantic coast, the Canadian Mark Carabin.
Howdy.
Hanging by a string, 2 hours of sleep.
I'm hanging in there. Yeah, I'd say 3 hours of sleep total last night. Little dude has a double ear infection at the ER. He was pretty inconsolable last night, so we landed at the ER around 4 a.m. But before that, I really didn't have much sleep. He was up and crying at around 10:30, 11 before I tried to go down myself. So it was a rough few hours, and then I finally said, you know what? I'm just taking him in because I've been anticipating something would happen. I've been trying to get him into his doctor, but that didn't happen. So last night was kind of a tipping point. So here we are, ready to go.
It's only a matter of time, Mark. It is. Kids are ticking time bombs of disgusting germs.
Yep.
Gotta love it.
Yep.
Absolutely. We are also joined by a new member of the Co-op Couch, but he is a long-term Secret Friend Unite from Secret Friends Unite. Corey and I go way back. That's Corey Dirrig from the Boss Rush Network of Gaming and Podcasts. Corey, thanks for being on, bud.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited. You guys are the best. Every time I talk about other people, I say, you know what, Secret Friends. I point to you guys. I think you guys are literally the standard in terms of podcast networking. So,
oh,
too kind, Corey.
Honored to be here in the presence of greatness.
Your check's in the mail. Thank you for that plug.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And I'm glad we got Zencastr to work rather than Skype, where it looked like you were in a dungeon and we were at 480p. So we have made progress.
Yeah, that was. I'm sorry about that, but we got it working. We're good.
We're good.
We're good.
We're in the golden age. High fidelity HD.
Mm-hmm.
Also joined by a friend who has been on the podcast before. He's back. Sean Nyhus. How you doing, bud?
Doing well. We're surviving here in the Nyhus household. We got half the family with COVID, half of us not. So we're rolling with the punches, doing the best we can, and really excited. A nice Star Wars co-op mode tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And May the 4th be with all of you. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's Star Wars themed gaming. We've talked about doing this, and we're finally doing it. And it's appropriate. This will drop on May the 4th. And we are going to go all in on Star Wars. I'm outnumbered, probably. I like Star Wars, don't love it. But we've got some big fans of Star Wars. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So we'll get right into it with our question we ask every week. I actually got this out there about 45 minutes in advance, Mark. We got to get better about that. But
yeah, you know what? I wanted to do a bunch of research for this episode and look up dates that Star Wars games were released and go through a whole bunch of Star Wars gaming history and stuff. And then my day went to hell in a handbasket, basically, as I explained. So yeah, we'll get better as soon as we can.
We need a social media manager, folks. So if you want to join us, by all means, we'll sign you up. So we'll go with our buy, rent, return. This is where we're going back in the old days of Blockbuster, where you'd go and you had to find the game you wanted, maybe even rent the system, and you had to decide to buy, rent, or return a game after a week. Or maybe you just kept it and you got fined, and then the game was $300 after all the fees. So we're starting this week with classic Star Wars games. Last week we did some infamous games. Now we're doing some classics. Super Star Wars in the 16-bit era, Shadows of the Empire from the N64, and The Force Unleashed from the golden age of consoles, which would be the 360 PS3 era. So there we go. So let's start off actually with our Discord group, Schloss Ritter. Once again, I'll find out who you are, Schloss, one of these days. But he says, buy The Force Unleashed, rent Shadows of the Empire, and return Super Star Wars. Good picks. Yep. But we're going to go all in with Mr. Corey Dirrig. Corey, what would you pick?
So, I think I think I agree. I am going to buy The Force Unleashed I love that first game. I think that first game is underrated. I think it gets a bad rap because of the second game in particular, and they just kind of group them together, right? So I'm going to buy that. I'm going to rent Shadows of the Empire just because Dash Rendar is cool and his ship is cool and tells a cool story in between the movies that we never really, well, at least I never really, experienced before. And then we're gonna return Super Star Wars. I don't need Scorpion Darth Vader. Okay, I don't need to jump on a 3-mile long Jawa crawler, right? I think we're gonna return Super Star Wars.
That's a fair assessment.
You got to admit, though, that sound of like the Super NES, I don't know what they did with the sound. Hearing those Star Wars themes in that, like, I don't know, 16-bit like sound chip just is so resonant to me. I just know something about the SNES and its sound is so unique and just so cool.
I'll buy the soundtrack. I just, you can keep the game,
Okay, good point.
Also, Luke has the lightsaber like super early in that game. Like, why? No.
To kill scorpions.
Yeah, fair.
Obviously, from that pivotal scene where they're killing scorpions with a lightsaber in New Hope.
I love it.
They travel single file to hide their numbers.
You gotta love that with a side-scrolling game, right?
There's got to be a Lego Star Wars mission that they're killing all the scorpions. That'd be great. Sean, what are your picks, my friend?
I have to be honest with you. This was a really hard one for me. I am buying Shadows of the Empire because it was hands down one of my favorite games. The Hoth board was amazing. I loved just the concept and that you got to see someone that potentially could have been in the universe during that time, and they brought a different perspective. I thought it was amazing. And I think that isn't their board, and it's been a while since I played it, like where they're on Ord Mantell, right? And it's on a train, which is cool. And it was one of the real not necessarily first person shooter, but 3D game for Star Wars. So I thought it was great. I have to be honest with you. I struggle with the next two because there are certain pieces of Force Unleashed that I just didn't like. You're not going to be more powerful than Darth Vader. It's not happening. So I struggled with that, and then all the powers. I got the concept. It was really neat to have another Star Wars game out, and it sort of re-energized the franchise, and there's a lot of people who actually love both Force Unleashed 1 and 2. But I have to say I'm renting Super Star Wars because of the nostalgia and playing with your buddies, and it had its quirks. Yes, you're shooting scorpions and all of that, but it still was neat to have a Star Wars game coming out as a big Star Wars fan, because there was that period when it was sort of just dead. You got kind of your couple re-releases on VHS. You didn't really have anything, and for something to come to the console was really cool. So I have to rent that and then return Force Unleashed.
All right. For me, man, this is tough. You guys are throwing. I thought I kind of had this, but Sean, you're throwing some thoughts into my head. I might have to rethink. My first, and maybe I'll stick with this, but my first thought was just Force Unleashed as my buy, just because I think it has the benefit of being a little bit more relevant as far as gameplay and graphics and all that kind of stuff, a little bit closer to now. It kind of holds up a little bit better, which I think Shadows of the Empire might not have that benefit. A lot of N64 games look and play a little rough by today's standards. So I think I'll buy Force Unleashed, but I think to Sean, I think to your point and Todd with the soundtrack, I think I'm renting Super Star Wars just for that little nostalgia hit, because that was my first Star Wars game, is Super Star Wars, and yeah, definitely brings back some amazing memories, which sadly means I'd be returning Shadows of the Empire, which I don't want to do. So if I'd like to double rent those, but since Todd's a stickler, I'm gonna have to return that one.
What membership at Blockbuster do you have that they allow you to rent 2 things, Mark?
I know,
Mark,
it's crazy.
don't forget that Spotify and YouTube exists for the soundtrack.
That's true. That's not the only piece of nostalgia. I just loading that game up just brings back those kind of like, this is my first Star Wars game kind of memories. So I'm gonna stick with that assessment, but it's I don't feel great about it.
And
So we'll go with
Mark,
that.
the one thing that I really remember is being able to play as Luke, because every kid loved Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to play as Luke was so cool.
Absolutely. And yeah, those games were super tough, and they got a little bit, I believe they got a little bit better. Like Super Return of the Jedi was a better game, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So I might also be like getting some bits of like which ones I liked more. So this could very much change as like tomorrow, if I'm more awake, I'll be like, what was I thinking? Super Star Wars, come on. Shadows of the Empire is the way to go. But there we go. That's what I'm going with for now. Todd, what about you?
Oh, wow. This is crazy. But just a note, this is very weird. I don't know why. Super Star Wars is available on PlayStation 4. Not available, though, on Switch, which is weird. Maybe, is it on Xbox or no?
Nope.
I don't think. No,
Bounty-
when
is
that
Bounty
got
Hunter the same thing?
re-released,
Yeah.
when that got re-released, it came to the Wii U and PlayStation. For some
weird.
reason, Xbox was out of there. Was out of that deal. I'm not sure if anyone knows why. Let chime in and let us know.
Well, I think you just have to say Xbox One and people were running, to be fair.
That's probably a
Bizarre.
fair
It came to
assessment.
Wii
yeah,
U,
to be
though?
honest. It was.
I mean,
out on
it's a
Wii U.
Nintendo game, though. I mean, like, technically, and
Right.
I guarantee you that those games are going to be sold in some sort of physical limited run collection for Switch at some point, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be announced tomorrow. As you're listening to this could already be announced, and we just don't
Be
know it because
solved.
we're recording Tuesday.
Oh my gosh,
that would be fantastic, actually.
How many games, like classic games, that they can announce tomorrow? Like, you got Rogue Squadron, you got Bounty Hunter, you got these Super Star Wars games.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you got the Jedi Starfighter games, which were pretty good at the time, as if I remember correctly. Like, so many games you could put out. Hopefully,
Even
they just announce.
Even going back a different way, like non-console releases, you look at the whole series of X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Like, they were all games that I kind of cut my teeth on growing up, and like Star Wars games, luckily, were available for the Mac that we had at home. And that was like, limited selection of games that actually work on a Mac, but also Star Wars. Come on, let's go. So like, that was it. I remember when, Star Wars Squadrons first came out, and I was just like picking people off, and I was playing with Sean Capri and a few people, and it was just like, okay, like, where did this come from? I've been playing like X-Wing and TIE Fighter games since I was 8. Like, this is second nature to me. You throw me inside a cockpit of a Star Wars vehicle, I'm gonna take some guys out. Let's just call it what it is. You're not going up. So those games being re-released would be amazing as well.
Yeah, we are probably gonna. I mean, there's ample opportunity to get Yoda Tales.
Oh, jeez.
There you go. Yeah, there's just way too many Star Wars games that they could go deep if they really wanted to. Do nothing at all to them and just like, here you go, have fun.
Yeah,
This
file
fest
save as
of bad ones, that were
Switch.
out there in the day. Yeah. So for me, I'm gonna go Force Unleashed by, just because I've come to terms with Star Wars where I love playing Star Wars than watching Star Wars. I love being that character, being immersed in it, because I get to control what happens. I'm not just repeating the same thing I've already seen before. I like that. I like the fact that you get to explore different areas and actually be the characters we love to watch. So very cool. So we'll talk about.
I think I'm right there with you, Todd. I like Star Wars, but like, I think I like it's almost the Iron Man conundrum where like, I like the idea of Star Wars, but like, a lot of the times the movies just like they're just not doing it in certain places, right? But like I'm sure we'll get to it later, but like Jedi Fallen Order was like that for me. It was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest
You
thing.
spent more time doing cool stuff than having bad dialogue or something, or a plot point you didn't like. It was like, I'm just going to get back into it. I'll ignore that other stuff. Who cares if I didn't like that character? I didn't like that. I just get to do cool stuff in Star Wars, and that's what we wanted to be as kids. We wanted to actually play as our heroes, and we're doing that. So that's what I love about Star Wars, that we get to do that in different mediums, and I love this. So, fortunately, loved it. I thought it brought a new story that we probably would never get now. You're not going to get a non-canon. It can just do and play and have a good time. Regardless of canon implications, you can't do that because somebody's doing something like that. It just kind of like got to tell cool stories and do something fun. It was great. So I don't care if it's not canon. It was just a great time. Then I'm going to go Super Star Wars. And I'm going to give you the dumbest reasons in the world because I actually played that game. But I liked it. It was gimmicky, and I played it since. It's a hard as hell game, but it's still fun, and it looks good. It still looks good because that artwork holds up. But the gameplay is like it should have been like an arcade game where you're putting in quarters in because they would have taken like $3 billion from you. It's that tough. But Shadows of the Empire is what got me back into Star Wars again because it was the reemergence of everything, right? But I didn't own an N64, so I only played it at a friend's. I never owned an N64. I tried playing this game again on PC because they actually ported it to PC years later, and it doesn't hold up at all. The controls are horrific. So it's a game best held in your memory and nostalgia unless they remake it. And what they should do is remake or remaster this game.
That's because you needed the N64 controller.
No.
Which is
the
glorious.
analog was like a floppy piece of spaghetti, and it controlled like you were insane. Believe me, I was playing on PC with the mouse, and even in the mouse, it was like, wow.
Also,
we've already had the N64 discussion the last podcast I was on. I love that controller.
I never owned it, so playing it was like holding a piece of macaroni. Like, what is this thing? So
oh my gosh,
I get it.
It just was ergonomically perfect.
With a third leg that you never use.
It's just decent controller.
I loved it. Yes, Sorry,
we'll have the debate about that. People that love it and why they're insane. Oh well, you've heard our verdicts. You've heard our verdicts. Let us know after you watch this episode. Put it on YouTube. Tweet at us. We'd love to hear your thoughts and tell me why I'm a horrible, horrible person. Oh, well. Moving on to what we've been playing, because this is what we do video games for. Actually play them, not talk about them. So we've got a lot of games. So I'm going to say, to make this a little bit more streamlined, just give us really quickly, what you've been playing and just some high points about it. So Corey, why don't we do round robin? So you'll start with your first game, then we'll go to Sean next with his first game, and Mark, and we'll go that way.
All right. So I've been nose deep in Super Mario 3D World. I completed the game a while ago, but for some reason I was really itching to play a Mario game, and I decided to go for all the green stars and all the stamps. And I am on the Fire Flower World of Champions Road, which is the third out of the 4, and I'm about halfway through it, and oh my gosh, if you want challenging Mario levels, that's where it's at.
Dude, that's a commitment.
Yeah. It's so I've limited myself to like two or 3 levels a night, so I'm not banging my head against the wall, right? And that'll take about 40-45 minutes of exploring and not dying and getting the right suits for the levels and stuff. So then I put it down and I'll play something else.
Wow, that's amazing.
Sean, definitely you didn't have a Wii U. Super Mario 3D World is a great game, especially with the kids, if you've not done it yet.
I would say it's the best 3D Mario game.
Is that ported to Switch yet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. It came with Bowser's
That's what I'm playing it on.
Fury, which is fantastic.
Oh, I've got it. Okay. Clearly we haven't played that yet.
It's a great co-op Mario 3D game. It's probably the best co-op 3D Mario game because there's not many except if you're like Cappy. Cappy. So yeah, beyond that though, the other games they're typically co-op. You're throwing people off a cliff, which I think you can do it in this game too.
Cool.
So Sean, Destiny 2, you and Corey have both been playing that.
As Ray would say from Phoenix Overdrive, it's a grind. This game is totally a grind. So I've defeated the Witch Queen in the story mode. I haven't done any of the raids. I'm at about 15, 25, and I'm sort of building up. My son Henry has been a saving grace because A, he's lucky, and B, he's a good farmer. So he does the farming for me to build my light levels, and for some reason he always ends up with great rolls. So I've been able to use him to leverage up, but everything's just a grind. You get an exotic quest, it's a grind. I like it. I like where they're going. I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with the next step, with the Witness being the sort of the next upcoming bad guy, for lack of a better term. Todd, they sucked me in with Destiny 1 right out of the gate, and I haven't been able to, release myself from the teat of Destiny.
Sean, Corey and I go way back on Destiny. I think that was one of the big joints with Ray Azario. There's a big community. Corey does a Destiny podcast called Tower Casuals with Josh. So if you need someone that knows Destiny inside and out, Corey is your man. Josh is involved. So you have resources as well. So don't feel like you're alone. But I kind of gave up and just playing the campaign, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have to be honest with you. I love the game.
It is a game you need to be committed to if you want to get the most out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So Corey, anything that you're seeing in Destiny that, from what I've heard, it's like my son loves it. He loves what Destiny 2 is doing now. He's well past me now. I remember when he was young, and he's now done the raids. He's done all this stuff. So he is definitely the ultimate Destiny dude. He wants me to keep playing, but I'm like, I get drawn away by other things. So with your view on Destiny 2 and how many hours you've got in, is there anything else? You want to say what's worth coming back to Destiny if people are lapsed?
So, if you're going to jump in, this is the time, right? I feel like there's so much that people have missed, right? They've taken out 2 major campaigns at this point, right? They're really moving forward as if players are hardcore players. And so if you want to jump into Destiny now, there's going to be a little research that you need to do. My Name is Bife is a great YouTube. He's a big Destiny lore guy. His videos, if you need caught up, he's the guy to go to. Yes, the videos are a little long, but they really dive deep into what's happening in the story. Josh and I do Lore Corner every week on Tower Casuals, not to, plug my own podcast, but we kind of talk about what's kind of going on in the story right now and what that means for the future of the story. And sometimes we're right and sometimes we're really wrong. But it's always fun to speculate, especially with the Witness and Rulk and who are the disciples, and because each race has a disciple, and who are the other disciples, and there's a lot of kind of things going on around that. So it's not just about the campaigns anymore either. There's major story elements in the seasonal content now too, and with Crow being a major part of the story, he's such a major part of the story now. But if you didn't play Destiny 1 or Forsaken, the campaign that they took out, nobody, you're not going to know who Crow is and where he came from and why he's so important. But and that's where that's where you're not going to get the most out of the story, is these characters have existed forever, but why are they important? I can't go back and do the things that made them important. Mm-hmm. But
that for me is the one downfall, is you've got to stay on top of the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part is, and Phoenix Overdrive has been really helpful for me in helping to understand within each season, there's sort of sub build outs of your character that are more effective than others.
Mm-hmm.
And oh man, I'm really struggling because I'll go in with folks and they just absolutely wipe everybody out. And they're like, dude, your build out's completely wrong. And so it's getting more complex, but it's also getting a lot more fun. I think they have ratcheted up in terms of storyline and getting you immersed in the world. Mm-hmm. It's night and day difference from Destiny 1, Todd.
Yeah. The story right now is definitely where it should have been, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
It's the most consistent it's ever been. It's the best it's ever been. But at this point, if you haven't been invested, like, you're going to have to do some research, and it's a fun game to still play and to play as like an RPG and play with your friends and do the grind and do the nightfalls and the raids and the dungeons and stuff. But like, if you want the most out of the story, you're going to have to really do the research now. And that's and like, they do an okay job. They have a timeline in the game now. Like, you're gonna have to read it, but like, the Red War, here's what happened during the Red War. Here's what happened during Destiny 1. Here's what happened during Forsaken. And, there's a timeline now, but like, it doesn't give you enough information to really give you the most out of what you need to know for the story. And that's kind of a bummer.
It doesn't do it justice for those who played through it, because it was really cool to play through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about game preservation. No one will ever get the same experience of how Destiny was, because that doesn't exist anymore. Very, very weird, very strange. But I always say this, when we see what Destiny has done and Bungie have done to make a game exist and live content and updates and things like that, I think I know why Sony bought them, because nobody does it as well as Bungie. We see 343 struggle. And they have the biggest company behind them in the world, give them all the resources, and they struggle to get content out. And Bungie's just, we've been there, done that. And just imagine if Microsoft had let Bungie do Destiny at Xbox, where would
343 is hot trash in the summer, buddy.
Ooh,
especially what they do in Halo.
I mean, I could chime in on that, but that would be a whole half hour that we probably don't have. So we're just gonna slide that in the folder and save it for later.
Yes, I agree, but they are hot trash in the summer. Yeah. No doubt about it.
That's been one of the challenges. Sean wants to play co-op, and that's been delayed. And the worst news is, really, I don't know if I mentioned this, Sean, couch co-op is not even happening. I think that's happening in December now. Online co-op is coming first, so you can't play with your kid until almost a year later, which is just, to me, I'll hold my tongue as well. So we'll move on.
What the game is bad when it's $19 at Costco. Cool. I'm just saying.
Also on Game Pass. That's the big marketing thing. Also on Game Pass.
Exactly.
True.
Yes. But we don't want to hit on it, because I did enjoy my time with Halo. But a lot of people are, and they're just looking forward to Season 2. That is coming soon. But we're going to move on, because Mark, when I look at what you've been playing, you're making me so jealous, because my Oculus is locked away in a storage trailer.
Sorry to rub this in, and most of the games I've been playing have been in VR lately. The first one I'll talk about is called Ragnarock. So this is a rhythm game. So you're in a Viking longship. You're doing some drumming. There's 4 drums and then 2 kind of cymbal shield things to give you kind of a overpower mode. Think of being able to tilt your guitar in Guitar Hero. The soundtrack for this is all like Celtic, Viking, like rock, metal stuff, pirate rock. It's fantastic. Like Ailstorm, that kind of stuff. It's great, man. If you like that kind of music, which I do, you're really going to enjoy this game. It's a lot of fun.
Is it 4 drums? Is it 4 drums or
4 drums? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 4. Yeah. And it's challenging, just like any rhythm game, but you start to get it, and then you start to do the harder stages. So everything's kind of like given a little rating of like difficulty, so 1 to 9. And this stuff, when you get to the higher levels, stuff starts coming at you fast. But it's fun. It's a whole lot of fun.
Is it better than Beat Saber?
It's different than Beat Saber.
Okay,
it's very different. It's where Beat Saber, Beat Saber is a lot more like energetic, flowing kind of stuff. With the lightsabers doing the moves, you feel kind of more like a, I don't know, cheerleader Jedi or something. This is you're literally just drumming, and it is still a workout. Like you'll still if you're drumming along, especially on some of the harder songs, you're still like, I'm still breaking out into a sweat. And this game kind of like broke me from, I'll say, close to a year of like, I don't know if I want to say workout depression or something. Since we gave up our dog last year, I have not really felt the motivation to like get up and close my exercise rings on my Apple Watch, right? Like it's just been, because that was what I used to do. I used to take her out. We used to go for a run, and it just hasn't been the same since. So, while I have closed that ring, I haven't been like motivated to like, I'm putting an effort in to close this every day of the week or whatever. Ragnarock broke me out of that. Like Beat Saber didn't. Other games and things have not done that for almost a year. And like Ragnarock, the first time I was doing it for like a half hour and felt that little like bipping on my wrist, I was like, oh, I just closed my exercise ring just drumming along to pirate and Viking music. This is awesome. So like I've been kind of consistently trying to keep up with that, and it's really kind of invigorated not only my love of like VR and stuff, but like also just it's making me feel good that I'm kind of over that little hump, and I found something else to get me up and to get me moving, and now I'm like, okay, well, what else can I do? So I'm like, looking at better recipes and eating better and doing more activity stuff, and it's all from this like dumb little Viking pirate VR game. So yeah, thanks Ragnarock. You like got me out of a pretty nasty slump there for a bit. Yeah, so it's a good game though. If you like those, like if any of that sounds appealing to you, like look up some of those songs. I actually, if you have Apple Music, I can send you a playlist that I made. I have the whole like roster of songs in a playlist. So listen to that, and if it pumps you up at all, you're gonna love this.
Is that exclusive to Oculus?
I think it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm not sure.
I'm
sure.
Might be on PC VR.
I was just going to say it is PC. I know for it's PC because it was just in a PC Humble Bundle package for VR. Speaking of which, I got some games that I'm not going to talk about any of these games, but Fantastical, I believe, just had a VR, like a Quest sale. First time I've seen one on Quest, Fanatical. Anyway, I got like Zero Caliber Reloaded. Todd, you were talking about this bundle as well. I don't know if it's still going on, but like awesome bundle. So there we go. Anyway, that's all I'll talk about for now, and we'll keep going with our little round robin. So Todd, what are you doing?
Mark, I'll just make one point. Have a game that will also make you feel awesome, keep you moving. It is really awesome. It has a banging soundtrack. Will make you feel like John Wick. Pistol Whip. Check that out. I highly recommend it. It's fantastic. You feel like you're sweating your bum off. I think it might be on PSVR, Sean, as well. But it's fantastic. I love it. You move around, you're shooting behind you, everything like that, and it feels like you're James Bond or John Wick. It's awesome. Highly recommend.
I did just try, and again, I didn't list this because if I listed every VR game that I've at least tried out, I'd be talking for a while. But I did try out Super Hot. Finally.
My son loves Super Hot.
Good game.
Very interesting.
Cool dynamic. And that's a game where it's like a strategic shooter because you're taking you're not moving constantly, which is kind of cool.
Yep. Very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny to hear the words come out of my son's mouth when he doesn't get it. When he's farther along. Darn it, Dad. Oh.
Darn it.
Gotta love 9-year-olds, right? About 8, almost.
That's 9. A game that works on VR and on a console, which is very cool that they were able to make that work. Very quickly, Tiny Tina's Wonderland is the Borderlands I didn't know I wanted. It's fantastic. It's the best single-player Borderlands game ever. My son has beat it. He went insane with it, upgrading everything. He loved it. He's actually playing it right now. You can see behind me. He loves it. It's fantastic. The humor is great. You feel like you're in a RPG with weapons, like a D&D with guns, because the DM says, why not? They play around with all of the sense of humor. It's goofy. It's fun. Wanda Sykes is in it. Jason from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Andy Samberg, sorry.
Andy Samberg. Okay.
Andy Samberg, and then Will Arnett is the bad guy. It's so fun, really cool, very funny. You get your side classes, which is fun. Then you can add another class as well. So I've got like a wyvern going around with me, attacking people. Then I got a mushroom man class, these little mushrooms that make funny noises and say things that I'm not sure what they're saying. And you're just killing a bunch of skeletons that say like all these funny lines, but they're like skeletons from like Army of Darkness and different skeletons that have been different things, which is funny. It's really great. And then you have this like overworld where you're like almost like a Funko Pop walking around the overworld, and you're going on things and going. Oh, it's just so much fun. I love it. I think it's great. It's highly worth it, and there is co-op as well, which is coming, and it's cross-play. So cross-play, cross-save maybe, and co-op. So it's a really good game. Sean, I've always said we should probably play this, but it's been hard because it's a game where you're in menus constantly because you get so many damn weapons, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Which weapon is better? But they're all fun. So,
give me a second. I gotta pick a new weapon.
Exactly. There's a weapon my son showed me that shoots dragons out of it. So that's where you're at. Yeah.
Oh, I totally have to get this.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's well worth it if you can find it on a deal. I got it from GameFly and I'm just having a blast with it. And like I said, my son has been playing it constantly. So it tells you and he's a Destiny guy. He loves PC. So he's enjoying it and he's 16 years old. So if a 16-year-old can like it, we can all like it. So that is my game. Moving back to Corey with AC Odyssey, a game that only takes you $300 to play.
Yeah, every so often I come back to this game. It's like that game that never ends, really, and I'll play it for about 10 or 15 hours, and then I'll have my fill of it, and then I'll put it away. And then every couple months, I'll be like, you know what? I need a game where I just don't have to think. I can run around and just collect stuff and stab people and, look cool. And I'll put another 10 or 15 hours into it, and I'll be like, I have my fill. And just whenever I started playing it, I have like 75 hours into this game, 80 hours. And I'm just like, okay, here we go. I'm just going to start stabbing people again, I guess. And it's fun. I gotta say, I know that this is divisive, but I think that Odyssey and this current trilogy of games that are out now, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, have really, they made the game that I love to play. And Odyssey, I think, is the best one out of the three so far. But I've kind of put Valhalla down because I know I want to, someday I'll beat Odyssey and I'll be like, okay, cool, it's time to move on to Valhalla. But from what I've played of Valhalla, and I finished Origins, and those two games were made by the same team, they just feel too tanky for me. Like the movement is that you feel really heavy, and Odyssey just nailed the movement. They nailed the weapons. They nailed just the world that I want to be in. And it's just, every couple months or so, I'll spend a week playing it and then I'll put it away, and it's just fun. So,
how many Game Pass?
One of them is, I don't remember which one is coming.
I think it's Odyssey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it Origins?
Yeah.
I think it's
Odyssey,
Origins.
I think. Is it Origins? Oh, wow.
That game sounds like, for me, what Crisis 2 is. I played it back. Todd, didn't it get released originally on the 360? I think it did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then they remastered it. And the minute the remaster came out, I bought it. And, I'll play it for 3-4 days, take a break, and then go back in. I just, for some reason, that game is one that I just keep going back to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Origins is coming to Game Pass. I've confirmed it. Sorry,
Origins,
guys.
okay.
Got to raise hopes up. They're like, Corey, talk about the game. I'm going to get on Game Pass. No.
Look, this game is on sale like every other week. Okay, it's like 10 to $15 every other week. So I mean, also Origins is worth playing. I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad game. I just prefer Odyssey over Origins. So.
That's fair.
Also, I don't know why it's called Origins, because Odyssey is technically a prequel to Origins. So
names. What do they even name these?
Not that Ubisoft has the story figured out. I mean, come on.
Not even remotely.
No.
Sean, you and Mark have played Switch Sports.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It came Friday, and my daughter had her sleepover birthday party. The girls loved it. Henry and I tested it out. Volleyball was our favorite. Really cool, a lot of fun. And then tennis, and then the sword play. The one that we kind of struggled with was soccer because you strap the Joy-Con to your leg.
Just for the shootout mode, right?
Yeah. And it took us a little bit to get used to, but it brought back a lot of the fun things that, Todd, we do Wii bowling. My wife would do Wii bowling. It was great to have them make this again and integrate it into the Switch. I've read some reviews where folks were like, take it for what it is. It's just a great, fun family game. And it's super fun to watch Henry battle Stella or Rach battle Stella in tennis. And the one thing I will say, though, is make sure the Switch has got it down. You've got to make sure you're separated or somebody may get hit pretty hard. And but it's fun. I enjoyed it. Mark, you played it?
Yeah. My wife and I have been dabbling a bit in Switch sports, and like you said, I've read some reviews that have been kind of, pooing on the game for multiple reasons, whatever it is. But for me, it's exactly what I expected. If you went in expecting anything more, I know we're getting golf in the fall. I'm guessing that's not going to be the last of the DLC. I assume like frisbee golf and some stuff from like Switch Sport or Wii Sports Resort will make its way. But for right now, like, it is what it is, and I'm happy with what it is. Bowling, I thought the quality of life of being able to bowl simultaneously on the same screen at the same time was a great quality of life improvement. Makes things go a lot quicker. The new additions, like you said, tennis or not tennis, badminton, volleyball, really solid. Soccer is like kind of slower Rocket League, kind of boiled down. Giant balls and like, I think one of the things I've read is when it's more than just one-on-one, soccer becomes a bit of a slog because the arena opens up. But so far I've only played it one-on-one, so not an issue. It was kind of fun, just like, my wife and I taking each other on rather than going online and playing that way. So as a, couch co-op party game, like, this is exactly what I wanted, exactly what I expected, and I've got no problems. They do push the online mode even right from the title menu. It's like jump online and play with people. So I'm curious what that's like. I'm curious with, Nintendo has hit or miss. You're either Splatoon and it's like everything's great aside from that opening menu of having to listen to what stages are today. Splatoon's a pretty seamless online experience to just jump in and go. And other times it's Smash Brothers. And you're playing at 2 frames a second and you just, snap a controller in two in frustration.
Do you have your OLED hardwired?
I do.
That's one thing that I think I have to do is hardwire it, because we ran into a little bit of issues on some simple online games. And I have read in some blogs that with the new OLED, you definitely want to hardwire.
I don't know if that fixes the problem. I even had my original Switch hardwired. I have a USB Ethernet cable that plugged into the dock and would hardwire it that way. And some games it was great. Other games it didn't fix the problems with Nintendo's back-end online infrastructure. So it's going to be game dependent, and some of it's not your fault and not the fault of your router or the speed that your Switch is seeing. It's just a fault of Nintendo's setup. So that's that. But Switch Sports so far, I'm really enjoying it, and I really can't wait to get more people, the next time we have some people over or whatever, and do 4 Joy-Con and everyone's playing tennis or everyone's bowling. Like, that's when it's really, really fun. So when it's more than just 2, but even just the 2 of us, we've been enjoying it.
Well, yeah, I'm super excited. My parents are coming down the next weekend, and hopefully we get our 2 negative tests with the family, because there's nothing more fun than watching my parents with the kids either playing Mario Party or this is the next one we're going to do, and it's just going to be awesome. And it's essentially the essence of that game.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Now, the only thing I've heard, and this is a problem with the Switch, where the Wii, love it or hate it, the Wiimotes, they had essentially a pointer, and motion controls work because of the sensor bar, things like that. The Switch doesn't have it; it's still motion control without centering. So I've heard there's problems because of that. Just a gap with the Joy-Con just doesn't have that type of precise control that others do. I've heard the same with the House of the Dead, where trying to do a light gun game doesn't work because it essentially has nothing to keep it in like a horizon or anything. It's not like it can track. It doesn't have any tracking. It just it's up or down and like that, and then it needs to be rethink. So that was my only thing. Like people said they struggle because it's not precise, so it could be not a great experience because of that.
I don't like precision really doesn't matter in most of these games. Like sword fighting, as long as you kind of center it on the screen, I haven't had a problem with sword fighting because the matches are so quick. You recenter it and you're good to go. And it's very easy button combination to recenter. You point it at the screen and hit the buttons and it goes. So I think that's kind of nitpicking stuff. If it was a light gun game or something you need precision, 100% valid problem. But like, for the most part, it's just the motion, and for things like sword fighting, it's very quick and easy to recenter. So I haven't come across a single problem that way.
No, and I was surprised, Mark, how well it worked for volleyball because you've got the bump, the set, and the spike, and we never had any glitches with that at all.
No, me either. It was very easy to, you do those motions like you said, that you'd bump the ball up and then spike it right down, and like. It knew what we were trying to do every single time. And we played through every single one of these sports. We did multiple rounds. I haven't hit any problems. And with Wii Sports Resort, you still had to do the centering. You had to put your Wii Remote Motion Plus or whatever that, attachment was. And then they came out like put that face down on a table, let it do, calibrate or whatever. And you'd had to do that every 10 minutes. So it's, I don't know. This is kind of, I actually thought it was kind of impressive because the Wii or the Joy-Con are so tiny compared to the Wii Remote that all of that technology and more is shoved into this little thing that you just have.
And really, I'll be honest with you, Mark, the only delay I had was I had to update all of the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
So okay.
When I put the game in, it said there's an update, and then I just updated all of the Joy-Cons, and we were good to go.
Yeah. That might be a issue, but updates are updates, right? So aside from that, you should be good. I don't know. And maybe I'm just lucky with how we've been doing it, and I will say only one of the Joy-Con has that IR sensor on the bottom. Mm-hmm. Maybe we lucked out and we were both using that one. Maybe it's the left Joy-Con that is it the left? The left one doesn't have it, right? The right has the IR. Yeah. So maybe it's if you use the left one, maybe it's a little less precise.
I'm a lefty. I used the left Joy-Con and it worked.
Oh, never mind. There we go. Okay, because I know we were using two right-hand controllers for stuff like tennis and whatever. Yeah. So.
Okay. I had some troubles with Ring Fit, and Ring Fit is like totally imprecise. It's just like, and it's like constantly like losing like direction. Like, oh, you have to move it, and you're exercising. So it's not like I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So it's like I've had hit and miss issues with the Joy-Con, especially with some things like that. And I know that the drift thing gets to be a problem too. So just was wondering about that. So it's good to hear you guys had a good experience. So
we're sending 3 of our Joy-Cons back this week from drift issues.
I think I've got 2. I got to figure out how to do that.
One of ours, like straight up, does not work. This stick is dead. It's not even drifting anymore. It is just dead.
Good times. Yeah. Oh, well. Moving on. We go from that. Let's see who is up. You both talked about Switch Sports. So let's see.
I think it's you, Todd.
I think it's you.
Am I up? Okay.
Yep.
Well, very quickly. I played a game that's on Game Pass now and PC. It's on Xbox too, called Weird West. This is a cool game. This is like a almost think of a isometric style open world RPG that you're in the Old West, but it's full of supernatural things. Essentially, you're a former bounty hunter. Your husband and son have been kidnapped. You have to put back on your spurs and find your guns and take on this gang of like weird supernatural dudes. And it's kind of crazy. The way you do the combat, it's like isometric, so you have to worry about where you're at and if your shots will line up. If they're blocked, you do have a cool, like, the Matrix dodge, or what's it, Max Payne dodge, where you slow motion and you can shoot, but you're small, you're tiny. But you have upgrades, you can trade things in, you can do side missions, and you use stealth. It's really cool. It's hard though. It's hard, really hard. I died so many times, and you can put yourself on fire by accident, because like you can shoot like lamps and it'll make things fall on fire. But if you walk into them, or if you have a lamp and you're thinking you're going to throw it, you end up throwing it like 2 inches in front of you, and then you burn. It's weird. It's really cool. Physics work really cool. It's really got.
What is it with you and lighting yourself on fire in games? That was you. You're talking about Ragnarock a couple of weeks ago. Like,
Yes.
I started that game off. I'm still in Norway, and I keep lighting myself on fire.
Apparently,
like, that's not
the
a
Vikings
thing.
coat themselves in
just-
like oil and like tan, like the
Todd's
glue
like the Richard Hammond of Grand Tour, always crashing.
exactly. But no, it's one of those things where you can have environmental damage, which is really cool. It's a cool art style, cool aesthetic, really cool storytelling. But it's a big game. I mean, there's so many missions to go on, big open world, but it's neat. It's kind of cool to see a game like this. This is by the team that Arcane Games, I believe, who made Dishonored, also made the most recent game on PlayStation. It's just an exclusive. It'll come to Xbox. Not
Deathloop?
Dishonored. Deathloop. There you go. So this is one of their smaller teams that made a game. So I'm like, this is cool. So check out Weird West. It's really cool. Kind of a surprise. A lot of fun. It's a cool game to just pick up and play at times, because you can just play missions and then save and be done. It's very cool.
Nifty.
Okay, back to Corey.
I'll make
Yeah.
this quick. I've been playing Outriders again. I really like that game. I know it's a bit divisive, but it's just so stupid and fun. And that they announced the World Slayer DLC, so I'm trying to finish the main campaign before that comes out. And I don't know. I think as much as I love Gears of War, I think they need to take a couple pages from Outriders book in terms of like movement and just overall weapon that you can use. Yeah. Yeah. So like it would be cool if in Gear 6 you got like the lambent abilities or whatever, and you could like shoot some cool superpowers and stuff. But yeah, Outriders is great. I
Is it co-op,
will defend
Corey?
that
I can't
game.
remember.
What?
Is it co-op?
Yeah. It's up
Sean,
to 4 player.
Sean, have you played that game? Because I think you may really like it. It's very Gears of War-esque, but with special abilities.
I have it in the queue for my Xbox because it is on Game Pass, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not for the end of the world, though, so it may go away eventually.
Yeah, but I think that game is also on sale all the time for like 15 or 20 bucks. I do want to say that like you do have to get through that opening, I would say half hour to 45 minutes. That is utter ridiculousness. Although that first character you meet with the cowboy hat and the mustache and stuff is super cool. But once you get through it, it's pretty cool. I'm playing as a pyromancer, and I can throw firewalls at people. I can steal their health with a fire lasso. It's cool.
It's very
See,
cool.
Todd, pyromancer. Valid
That's
reason
my class,
for
Mark.
someone to light on
Yeah.
fire.
That's my class. Eh.
I don't set myself on fire though, Todd. I set other people on fire.
That's my revenge.
Todd's the only pyromancer that lights himself on fire constantly.
I'm doing
He's like,
unto
"Oh, yeah,
others as I do
someone
unto
put my-"
myself. Finally paying back people. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, that DLC is coming out. If you own it already, which in Game Pass you get a discount, so check that out. It's very cool to see how they're making that game go on. Sean, bringing Call of Duty Vanguard home. Good game. I enjoyed it, but obviously Call of Duty it's kind of their nadir at this point. But I enjoyed it.
I got it part of, you buy the 2 games to get one free from Target. Stella wanted a game on the Switch, and Henry and I saw it, and I'm like, I've played Call of Duty in the past, and I'm sort of a I was a history major undergrad, so I was a big fan of reading about World War II. And so anytime Call of Duty comes out with a World War II game, I tend to really gravitate to it. And this one is just really cool. Love the graphics, love the storyline. I get, a lot of criticism. Oh, it's sort of repetitive in terms of they started out as a World War II game and they had the Black Ops and stuff. And I just get drawn to the Call of Duty games. And, it's just, for me, it's Friday. It's been a long week. Put the old 3D Pulse headset on and go in and enjoy just the cool sounds and the action. I mean, there's some pretty intense spots in it, and it's just good. It's a way to kill time, and the graphics are really good on it.
Great popcorn movie game.
Yes.
The DualSense does a great job with each weapon, the way they feel too.
Oh, yeah. And, in going back to what Corey was talking about with Outriders, it's easy for a lot of folks to criticize games, but they sort of have their niche and their pieces that are fun. And, if it's one of those games that just sort of draws you in, you do you, man. Enjoy your games.
Play what you love. Love what you play.
Exactly. And that's why, I may have said 343 Studios was hot trash in the summer, but I do appreciate folks that I've talked to that have really loved the multiplayer. It's just, fortunately, that's not my gig within Halo, and I was really hoping for an immersive co-op experience.
You'll get it.
Next year.
Hopefully before I'm dead.
Questionable.
Oh,
kind of like Todd and I hoping for a Viking Super Bowl.
Also
that's
questionable.
Corey's doing the Cleveland. Corey's looking for Cleveland Super Bowl. So there you go.
Well, let's not go there right now. Let's just not go there right now.
And Mark's waiting for the Leafs to win another Stanley Cup.
Of course, always. Since before I was born. I'll jump in with my next two. I'm going to combine these two because I got them both on sale this week. So there's a May the 4th sale. By the time people are listening to this, it should still be going on Quest. So I picked up Vader Immortal and Star Wars Pinball VR. Galaxy's Edge Explorers is also on sale, but I already had that one as the first game I bought on Quest. So Star Wars Pinball VR is Star Wars Pinball. I mean, if you played that before, you kind of know what to expect from at least the tables, but I love how the VR kind of puts you in your own little Star Wars man cave kind of thing and lets you decorate it with things that you unlock for playing the board. So like I have a giant stormtrooper statue. I've decorated it with posters, and it kind of like gives you the spot. Like you can put a poster here, you can put a thing here, but it's kind of cool. I've got like a growing helmet collection. It's really neat. You can walk around and explore all your stuff and then go play pinball on like a dozen different boards, which is really neat. So that one's cool. Vader Immortal, I'm fairly early in, about an hour or two, but like, holy crap, Darth Vader is intimidating in VR. Like the first time he just kind of walks up to you and like they scale it so well. So you kind of have to look up at him and it's like, whew, all right. You gonna choke me or get on with it? I mean, yeah, sorry. No, yeah. So what's going on here? He is intimidating. He is very, it's cool.
Mark Henry just started playing it and I had to catch him because he was looking up and he fell over when he saw Vader. And he's like, and he pulled his head up, Todd. That was really, that's it. He goes, it was Darth Vader. And I go, yeah, that's why it's Vader Immortal.
Yeah, dude, that's it. It's crazy. And I mean, I really like the lightsaber combat. Even just the training stuff is very satisfying, but combat in the game is good. It's cool. I'm really going to dig this. And I got all 3 chapters, so it's going to give me a lot of gameplay. So
if I could make a recommendation, I'm hoping a remastered version comes to Sony's second VR, but the Oculus, because I played it at Todd's, is way better than the Sony VR because the Sony VR doesn't have the tactical finger. how would you call it, Todd?
It can register your fingers, which is
the Sony doesn't, and that is one of the cool things that's missing out of it that you can have with it on the Oculus.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah, that game sells VR so well. My friend came over. He's a big Star Wars fan, and he is also has issues with heights. So when he's climbing, there's a climbing portion, and he looked down.
Yeah.
It ruined it for him because he had to stop. So that's just how immersive it gets. So very cool.
Yeah. The climbing stuff can get a little like intimidating, especially there's one part where you're climbing up something and it kind of lets go and it goes backwards. Like if you're going to catch Henry, that might be the spot to do it, because you start to kind of fall back and then you have to really reach out quickly and grab onto another bit, or maybe fall into the lava of Mustafar. I'm not really sure, because I didn't let myself die. Maybe I should have and see what happens. But yeah, there's some intense moments, but so far I haven't done any motion sickness or anything with this one. It's just been very intimidating and very badass.
The only VR game that I think is close to that one, because I think Vader Immortal is amazing, is the Star Wars Squadron VR that you can get. That is so much fun. But Todd, I bought those wrist motion sickness things that you have.
Yeah.
And you have to have them. But I am, if I have one thing that I'm looking forward to Christmas, is the second VR coming out for Sony. That's going to be awesome. And I hope there's a bunch of cool games like Star Wars Squadrons.
We will see that. That's going to be very cool. Lastly, it's not a game, but a cross-save beef I have. We hear Xbox always talk about PC and Xbox are an ecosystem. One thing I always say, though, if you're going to say that, you better support it. And one thing that I've had problems with, Mark, and we may have to figure out and talk to our friends over at I'm blanking on the name of the studio, the company that made the game I loved with the dice and the
Zoink.
Lost in Random. I was playing it on Xbox, loved it. Went to my PC on PC Game Pass. No cross save. If a game's on Game Pass and it's on both, it should support that. That's a minimum. That's where I'm really struggling to say it's an ecosystem. It's not an ecosystem if it doesn't support features. That is the biggest challenge I have. The other I would say is, if I buy it on Xbox, I hopefully would be able to play it on Windows for free. I want that. They used to have Xbox Play Anywhere, where you bought it on Xbox, get on PC. They don't do that. So I really think if they want to expand it, they will say if it's on the Microsoft Store, it should be on the Xbox Store and vice versa.
That is a company by company choice. All Microsoft games do that, but it's also a company by company choice if you want to support that or not.
So weird. Yeah. It just seems like a big miss. It's like,
I know.
That's why I will not play a game if it doesn't have cross save, because I'm like, well, then I have to then dedicate one console. But if I'm Xbox and PC, I'm like, Microsoft owns Windows. It's just a beef that I feel like when they say that and they don't actually do it, the Microsoft Store on PC sucks balls. You can't buy games there. You can't do much. It's horrible. So they still owe me that, because I wasn't going to get an Xbox because I had a gaming PC, and I'm like, I'm supported. I feel like they've still failed, and that's something they've failed for 30 years, and that's their home base. So I just feel like that's the biggest install base they could ever have is PC, and they continually fail. So, and Halo runs like horseshit on PC.
Hey, there's another reason why 343 is hot trash in the summer. Right there. Anyway, so question for you. Do you guys think, with Sony's new Game Pass-like piece coming out, I saw that it said that there's PC saves.
No.
Do you think that's going to be a better user experience than Game Pass?
No. Sony's user experience is
trash.
At best mediocre across everything.
Yeah. Yep. They struggle with messaging and user friendly things that we just have not seen. But they're late to the party on PC support. They won't have anything essentially for any other platform. The best thing we're going to get out of Sony's new system is legacy games. That's probably the only thing we'll see. Potentially, it's going to be the deepest legacy platform ever, and that's cool. But that's the best thing we're going to get out of it. So,
yeah, but that just speaks to Sony though. Like, the games sell consoles, right? It doesn't matter what your user experience is, right? I mean, for me, like the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One X before it had the best user experience, but there's no games, quote unquote, no games, right? So you go to Sony and they have the games, but they have a terrible user experience. Like, the backwards compatible stuff is so backwards, no pun intended. Like, it's just, but they have the games that people want, and so they continue to sell consoles. So
Yeah.
when you're winning, you don't have to do much.
yeah,
Nintendo's winning right now.
yeah, I know. Look at the Switch. I mean,
Like what they've done to the Switch after 5 years. They finally gave you folders.
They can't even add you a third theme, let alone.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, so everybody's bringing something to the party, and I think it was the PlayStation Drive. They said, imagine if you could get the Xbox, user friendliness with Game Pass, things like that, and you get the first party games together. They would make the greatest company in the world. But I'm like, imagine if you had the opposite. You had like the Sony experience with the Xbox first party output, and you'd be like, So
I mean,
nobody's doing it the best.
As an Xbox fan, we did have that from 2013 to 2019, I would say.
Yeah.
Till Gears 5 came out, I would say that was the experience.
And Nintendo on the Wii U had some great games, but people just didn't like that console at all.
I've been going through my Wii U games. I have a huge... I still argue that my Wii U...
Holy crap.
I love the Wii U. Until the Switch came out, I argue that the Wii U was the best Nintendo console they ever made in terms of software. Their console...
I will agree. The library for the Wii U was amazing. It was just the hardware itself was lacking.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. It has the three... No. Listen, Todd, listen. It has the three best Zelda games.
It has the end of life Zelda games. They were made for other consoles, essentially.
It doesn't matter. It has the three best Zelda games. It has the best 3D Mario game. It has the second best Pikmin game. It has the best Xenoblade game. It has
Mario Kart.
It has the best Mario Kart game.
It has no Metroid game.
It doesn't matter.
It has no Animal Crossing game.
It does. It has Animal Crossing Festival poop crap.
Amiibo Festival.
Yeah, that one.
It has the most Zelda remakes. No.
But isn't every Nintendo game a remake?
Oh, Sean, be nice.
No, I'm all kidding aside. It's interesting. There is a boy in my neighborhood that he's 16, and he to this day plays his Wii U more than he plays his Switch because he just likes the games better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, the best games on Switch right now are Wii U games, for the most part. Aside from like Metroid Dread and Fire Emblem, you can point at everything else and be like, oh, that was on Wii U.
I still think the Wii U gamepad is one of my favorite actual experiences. Like in regards to not actually like playing on it, but like the ergonomics of playing on a portable is the best because it had full size everything. I think the Joy-Cons are the worst console level controls because they have the worst sticks, the worst bumpers, the worst things. They have the worst buttons. They are the worst.
The Joy-Cons are pretty bad.
They're horrible.
Yeah, but the Pro Control, on the flip side, the Pro Controller is one of the best controllers out there.
Yes, and just imagine the gamepad had the Pro Controller on a portable. So
right.
That's what I'm saying. Just make that in a Switch and you're golden. I will never complain about the Switch ever again.
I think they should sell a version of the Switch that looks like the Switch Lite that plugs into a dock.
With Pro Cons.
Because it has a proper D-pad.
Right.
Like I do not like the Joy-Cons. I just don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
did we lose Todd because of that statement?
I think so.
Well, yeah. Here we go.
Oh, you have the Hori pads. You have the Hori pads, don't you?
No. This is these are the ones that are wireless. This is all they have to do.
Yeah.
This is all they have to do. It has like real triggers, has under buttons. You could actually have like a pro controller. These things are wireless. They are motion controlled. They do everything except for NFC, and they're only $50.
Who makes those, Todd?
Binbach. It's like a third party, and they're excellent. And they control. How many people actually, except for the Wii Sports, really use the Joy-Cons separately in that format? The majority don't. They have them attached to a Switch or docked. To me, that was just a cop-out.
I can't tell you the last time I detached Joy-Cons other than to switch the colors of them because I was bored of the ones that I have.
Yeah. Okay. Good point. But I play with the troops and they do Mario Party and whatnot. But if it's just your normal gaming, not sort of in party mode and stuff, I couldn't agree with you more.
You can still do this, though, with these. There's no reason you can't do that.
Yep. And that, from a user experience perspective, I think that's going to be that next step up from an experience that Nintendo is going to tighten that controller up.
So, yeah, I mean, just because they could make a Pro Controller Joy-Cons, that's an additive experience for more advanced controllers. That's all I've asked for. Give me options, Nintendo. I will pay you for it. Oh, well. Mark is going to kill me because I've only mentioned this like 85 times. So I'm going to move on and we'll go from there. Very quickly, we're going long, but I just want to let everyone know we are getting E3 essentially. That's not E3. Xbox's or Summer Game Fest announced for June. This is June 12th. I believe it's on a Sunday. And it's going to be both Bethesda and Xbox focused. So we're not going to go into it, what it means, everything. I just want one prediction from each of you, what you want to see or hope to see there.
I want to see Indiana Jones from Machine Games.
Damn it.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I want to see what Machine Games can do outside of Wolfenstein. I love Wolfenstein 1 and 2. I feel like they gave it to them because Indiana Jones is fighting Nazis, and fair. That's what they're good at. But I want to see what their third-person action adventure game looks like. I want the Uncharted experience, but with Indiana Jones, right? That's what I want. And I hope we get it. That's what I want to see. It's going to be interesting to see if they get Harrison Ford's likeness or if they have a sound-alike that sounds like him. You know, I want to... Indiana Jones is like one of my favorite franchises of all time. I think Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade are some of my favorite movies of all time. It's been a long time since we've gotten a decent Indiana Jones game, right? I think the last one I remember playing was the one in the original Xbox. And so I would like to see what they do with that character, how they bring it to life, and what they do. Are they going to make it based off a movie? Is this an original adventure? Is it first person or third person? Does he have a companion like Short Round or Marion with him? Right? Like these are questions I have, and I would like to see them answered.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Adult Short Round back.
Oh, jeez, that'd be cool though. Except we would have Indiana Jones fighting the Soviets, and it'd be a Crystal Skull situation. And I know I'm higher on that movie than a lot of other people are, but I don't think that's the right direction to go.
Nazis in Argentina. We booked it. There you go. Yeah, replied Corey. Sean.
Yep. I want to see 343 Studios dressed up as the Viceroy saying, "We won't survive this." And then you've got Qui-Gon Microsoft and Obi-Wan 13 Studios chasing them down. That's what I want to see. All kidding aside, no, honestly, I want to see something different that really harnesses the power. I mean, because Bethesda is a really good studio, right? They've got a good history. I want them to really take advantage of the Xbox power and to really see, we talked about this the last time I was on, where it usually takes a year or two before you see studios take full advantage of the Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5. I want to see something really cool and immersive, and I want it to be new IP, something we haven't even seen. Whether it's, a space game or some sort of cool event on Earth or something, but it really immerses you because they have to find a replacement for Halo because it's done. It really is. It's done.
Wow. Sean's thrown fire on Halo. Wow. You'll like the game, man, when you play it. I think you'll really enjoy the game.
Yeah, especially if you like Crisis. Like, I think you're going to feel right at home in the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a shame, that the co-op is delayed, and I know that's what you're really looking forward to. So I think they'll redeem yourself in their eyes because I think the game total was really strong. It's just they just need some support to get, and I think they're going to get there. I think they.
And I'll be honest with you. So Todd, I had that lapse between the 360 and before I got the Series X. The Xbox the Halo game, that the last one to come out where it had the two factions.
Are you talking about Halo 5 Guardian?
Yes.
Yeah. I
absolutely loved that game on the Series X, and where Cortana went rogue and the graphics and everything was amazing. It was immersive, and I know a lot of people didn't like that game. I thought that was awesome, and so I'm hoping we'll get some sort of new, fresh start because Bethesda's a good studio.
Well, they're making Starfield, so you'll get that.
Yes,
most likely this fall. So we'll see how that goes. Very quickly, Mark. Prediction.
Yeah, you just said what I want to see. I just want to see Starfield. I want to see more of it. I want to get a demo or something, or just see someone playing Starfield. Let's get more than that little teaser trailer. This game's coming out sooner rather than later, so let's see more of it. Get us pumped up, get us excited. This is the time to do it. That's it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think we have a feel for what they're going to show. But what always gets me excited about it is the one thing we don't expect. To Sean's point, new IP, new surprises, things like that. Xbox has a lot of original Xbox games that have been dormant. And I think, as we saw with Microsoft Flight Simulator, people have the need for speed. And how could they bring that alive? But with, Crimson Skies. Come on. People love a fantasy world of kind of cool dog fighting with very that ne'er-do-well, kind of like 1930s feel for air combat, where it's hyper stylized in a world that's not quite real, but a little bit very swashbuckling and things like that. I think it'd be very cool and almost like you take the aesthetics of like a Sea of Thieves, Mark, and add that to an air combat game. And it doesn't necessarily, it could be a multiplayer only game where like you are with a squadron and you go off with your buddies, have a squadron of ships and do something like that. I don't know who would develop that game because I don't think that team's even around anymore, but they have enough studios coming on board that I think, or get a third party to make it even and make it just that sequel that could do something new and make a series that a lot of people long for and bring it back to life. So I think Crimson Skies could be that next live game that could have a lot of love that Sea of Thieves got, but in a different element. So I think that could be kind of cool. Maybe we get it, maybe we don't.
So can I ask you just really quick? I was doing some research, and it sounds like Xbox has 13 plus studios.
23.
But like 13 is original content studio, right?
Nope. 23 as Bethesda, they got 23 studios. If they get Activision Blizzard, they will go up to 32, 31.
Mm-hmm.
So should you expect, like in the next 36 months, a blockbuster game a month then?
They said they want to release one AAA title a quarter is their goal.
Which they should be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And with 23 studios, if you think it takes 6 years to develop That is right around for a year. 6 years to develop a game is a long time. So in that, add another 30, get to 31. They should have no problem with output. And that's been the biggest thing I think people want to see is show us the games. You've said be patient. 2 a year is not enough. So I think 2023 is that year, and I think we're excited. And we may get some surprises this year. That's the most thing we're excited about is that one more thing, a new surprise. Maybe it's a second party that Xbox gets. But Xbox has the money to make magic happen. So I'm very excited. And one last thing, I think we're also going to get an Xbox Elite 3 announcement too. So there you go.
That's smart, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a pretty smart call.
Hopefully it goes to the design studio.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they're going to try, because there's been reports of Phil Spencer wanting the trigger, like the haptic feedback triggers like PlayStation, and I think it's going to be in whatever the next version of the controller. I think they're going to make like a mid-tier controller, to be honest, where like I think they drop the current controllers to like $50, and if you want the haptic feedback, you pay the $75 or $80, and then an Elite controller would be, whatever they cost, $175.
Yeah,
I could see them doing that. They've done it before mid-console generation. It's not unprecedented.
So people don't feel like they're left behind. They can upgrade really quickly. It's a secondary controller you buy anyways. It looks cool. That's a great idea.
For sure.
Absolutely. And that is it for the news portion. Very short. But now we're getting to the bonus round. And since Mark is the biggest Star Wars fan in the land, hosts a Star Wars podcast, this is your bonus round, buddy. Go.
Alrighty, yeah, let's jump in. So first off, I just want to do a very quick, super flash lightning round, just single word answers or single title answers or whatever. But I want to get a sense of where you guys started. So starting with Todd. Todd, what was your first Star Wars game?
Star Wars, the arcade game in the early 80s, Star Wars.
All right, Sean.
Atari 2600 game Hoth.
Okay. All right. Corey.
I think my first Star Wars game was Shadows of the Empire.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So young.
All right. So mine was like I said, I think Super Star Wars was where I started first, with following very closely behind by X-Wing. I was trying to figure out the timeline on that. Super Star Wars, I think, was 92. X-Wing was maybe 93, 94. And I don't think I played Super Star Wars right away. So they were both probably in that 93, 94, like in there. And I can't remember which one I actually played first, but I'm going to say Super Star Wars. So worst Star Wars game you've ever played, Todd?
Rebel Assault on PC.
Alrighty. Sean.
Star Wars Connect.
Oh yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
I loved the game on the premise, and it was terrible.
Yep. The infamous Han Solo dance. Corey.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's hard to beat. The worst Star Wars game I have ever played. I haven't played many bad ones. Masters of Terras Kasi is pretty bad. It was neat at the time, right?
Right.
But like, come on, Chewbacca's not going to beat Darth Vader. Let's be honest here. Okay.
But horror's in it.
Everybody.
Horror. Horror the Tusken.
Everyone's favorite.
How can I forget that guy?
Yeah. Mine, I'm going to say Yoda City or Yoda Stories for the Game Boy Color. Talking about hot trash. Sean, if you want real hot trash, play that. All right. Last one. Todd. The best or your favorite Star Wars game?
I'm gonna probably say that is probably Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I mean, that's too easy, but I mean that game was fantastic.
Yeah. Sean.
Squadrons VR.
Beauty. Corey.
Man, if you would have asked me this question 3 years ago, it probably would have been KOTOR, right? But I gotta agree with Todd. Jedi Fallen Order is just. It's a masterpiece. I love that game.
Yep, I'm going the same. Any game I can build my own lightsaber and make it look like this lightsaber in that game.
You posted that on Instagram a while ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And like we're planning our Disney trip right now for November.
Sweet.
And I'm like, I just want that lightsaber. So
Mark, if people wanted to build a lightsaber, where would they go?
To build their own, you have to go to Disney World, but to order your own, you can go to leveluplightsabers.com. There's I don't usually include it in this show, but I have an affiliate link. If you go over to Holocron Chronicles, it gives me a little kickback if you buy a lightsaber. But for those custom ones, you have to sadly do that in Disney World. So, Corey, I look forward to hearing all about your trip. And if you have any questions, hit me up. I'm always watching all the Disney planning videos, even though I can't go back for a bit.
I know. We went right before the pandemic hit. And
that's when
and like we were scheduled to go the week the parks all closed down.
No way.
And then my dad, I was like, Dad, you got to move that trip up a couple weeks because we don't want to be there for spring break. He's like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then so
shoot, wow.
So we were right before COVID, we were supposed to go to Disneyland, and then COVID hit and everything canceled. So I'm hoping maybe in October this year to take the troops.
I love Disney so much.
Oh, so do I. It is the happiest place on earth.
I screwed up. I went in 2019 and went to Hollywood Studios. I'm like, oh, that's where Star Wars is going to be. I suck.
So close. So close. All right, let's jump in. There's a few Star Wars games in development. So I want to ask. I'm gonna run through a few. Again, we'll do this a little quick, and I want to know your most anticipated upcoming Star Wars game. So, like I said, I'll run through them just so everyone's kind of on the same page. If I miss any, though, let me know. So, there's Star Wars Hunters. This is going to be free to play, mobile and Switch. Kind of a what do you call hero shooter style Star Wars game? A bunch of different.
Is that out on iOS
people
already?
Don't think it's out yet. It's for anything, but it's in the pipeline. Apparently, coming out this year. There's only a 2022 release window for that one. It's by Take-Two or Zynga or whatever. We'll see how that turns out. We have Jedi Fallen Order 2 in the mix. I'm expecting to hear more about that as early as tomorrow. So by the time you're listening to this, I'm hoping we have a little bit more on that one. We've got the Knights of the Old Republic remake. Corey, that one, yep. Little fist.
Yeah.
Congratulations there. Or celebration, I mean. We've got Respawn's recently announced Star Wars first-person shooter. We've got the Ubisoft open world Star Wars game. We've got Star Wars Eclipse, and if anyone says that as their most anticipated one,
you're gonna be waiting a while.
You've been warned.
We're gonna have some words, but anyway, that's that. Respawn's Star Wars strategy game and Amy Hennig's Skydance new media Star Wars game that was just announced.
You just mentioned that one. I'm like, I'm changing my game. Damn.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest with you guys. The cool part about this is you're going to have a Star Wars game for any way you want to play.
Yeah.
And the way I've counted it up, I've got like $400 in Star Wars games coming up here shortly because we're going to play them all.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. They all have that niche. You know, I mean, they all have certain things that are intriguing. The immersive world and the experience looks cool. The strategy game could be super fun. I just the first person shooter, I'm thinking, it's from Respawn, so you know it's going to be good. They've got a history of good games. Ubisoft's open world. I think for me, the biggest decision is what platform do you get where you have, all of these could potentially have an online sort of co-op, right? Mm-hmm. Where is your buddies playing and which ones do you go on?
Yeah.
Yeah, Switch is definitely going to be left out on most of these, unfortunately.
That's fine.
Unless we get Switch 2, which that could happen eventually, but I think that's where we see all these games like, I don't think any of these are coming to Switch.
No.
Unless they are like a weird...
Hunters is.
So,
Hunters is Switch console exclusive as
or
far
these
as we
could
know
be
so
streaming
far.
versions, maybe.
Gross.
Yeah.
we have heard that, or there's some rumors I think of Fallen Order getting a streaming version for Switch, the original Fallen Order. Now that's not to say Fallen Order 2 could follow the same thing. God. But we'll see. So again, maybe I'll go in the same order. Todd, most anticipated.
Okay, I'm going to do this caveat. KOTOR remake, because I never played it and I've tried to play it, and it's just hard to go back to that game. So I'm very excited about that, but it's not a new game. Man, love Respawn. I'm excited to see what they do. That could be the Sean and I were just talking about that. That could be the follow up to the squad based clone team that we got.
Republic Commando.
That Republic Commando.
Yes.
That could be that type of game. Awesome, but. And the Ubisoft game that we could imagine doing an Assassin's Creed with a open world and do things. I mean, there's so many things. But then I looked at Amy Hennig. I'm like, I just want Amy Hennig to make an awesome game in Star Wars. That's my pick, because we could get a Uncharted with a rogue guy doing cool things.
Yep,
that could be awesome. So I think that's my get. But it's so far away. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe it's Ragtag Part 2.
That's the tough part. We just talked about this on Holocron Chronicles with M, our guest, and we built this game together, like this idea, because we were talking about this, and like if it doesn't happen now, like I'm disappointed because I
gotta happen, Mark.
I know.
Get rid of that negativity.
She wants to see like she wanted to see like Thrawn kind of come up, I think, through Coruscant and like the underbelly and all that kind of stuff. I thought of something like just kind of dumber, which was tying it into she tied it into Fallen Order, but I said pick it up after Rise of Skywalker. Make it so you are working for Rey. You're not playing as Rey, but you're working for her as a bounty hunter of sorts, more of an Indiana Jones style person to really, and going out and collecting more Jedi and Sith artifacts so she can learn more about the orders, what to do, what not to do, blah, blah, blah. So you talk to Rey, you interact with Rey, but for the most part, you're gone out on your own. And the great thing that M tied it into was Fallen Order and having an old Cal Kestis be the keeper of these things because of his Force touch power, where he can get the history of objects. You bring things back to him, and Cal tells you the history of things, and he's kind of the new Jedi archivist, and he's survived. So now he's kind of in his 60s, 70s, or whatever he'd be at that point. So he's kind of the old Jedi sage working with Rey, and this rogue bounty hunter or archaeologist person going out. So I want that
Mark,
game. And
I'm adding on to your story, but
go
it's
for it.
Dr. Aphra, and this is Dr. Aphra's student.
Oh, okay. I like that.
She's a
tied into everything.
There
we go.
Yeah, I think that could be cool. You could do 2 eras and tie it in. I'm all
perfect.
in.
Perfect.
We made it.
So I'm going the same. I want that open world or that Amy Hennig's thing for sure, and Fallen Order 2. I'll cheat and say 2. Corey,
man, I mean it's hard not to pick Fallen Order sequel, and I would say KOTOR, but I don't have a PlayStation 5, so I will be waiting a long time for that as well. As an Xbox player,
Corey, someone who can find PlayStation 5s out of the air, as Sean Nyhus can attest, I can hook you up if you want one.
I mean, I'm gonna wait till they get smaller. To be honest, those things are pretty massive.
Decent call.
You don't want the boat motor?
No. Look, I had a hard time finding a spot for my Series X. Okay, that's.
Yep.
But as a fan of Massive and The Division and what we've seen of that Avatar game, I'm really intrigued what this Ubisoft game is going to be. As excited as I am for Amy Hennig, all I can think about is like a Han Solo Uncharted game, and that's perfect for me. And I'll be like, okay, that's fine. But we don't know much, so it's hard to be excited about that. But thinking about Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game has me quite intrigued. So, that's my pick, I think.
Nice. Sean.
So this was really hard for me. I know Jedi or Fallen Order 2 is probably going to be the most hyped, the one that everybody's going to want. But could you imagine if Ubisoft's is you're a Jedi in training and you're sent out to do missions, and you can customize your person and build them up and give them a bunch of skill sets. And then you rise up the ranks, and then you eventually get a Padawan. And could you imagine if the Padawan was an actual user? That would be cool.
Co-op, yeah. They could put that in the game.
Now,
they already do it. Yeah.
Respawn's first-person shooter really seems intriguing. I could see that potentially being a VR as well because of what they did with Medal of Honor, and maybe have a side piece. As I look through these, my goodness, I'm hoping they all are amazing and they have their own different tilt at different times and eras. Like, with Knights of the Old Republic really reviving that, and then Ubisoft just being wide open and maybe you just choose your own Jedi thing. And then you'll look at, Fallen Order 2. They could really take that in a cool direction with all the things coming out with Disney Plus. And so I'm just going to take the excitement of sit back and wait and see, because I think we're going to be surprised. And the one piece that I will say is, with such a devoted fan base of not just movie watchers, folks that read the books, is it the New Order is the books that just came out?
New Republic.
New Republic.
Right?
There could be a game coming out with that, which I could see. Quite honestly, they all have something that appeals to me where, quite honestly, I could probably, if these guys came out, let's say one each year, I could be putting a boatload of time on just Star Wars games and be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm excited for that. I know that's a non-answer, but man, this is going to be fun.
Absolutely.
Mark, what is your pick?
I said that Amy Hennig. That's I agree. Yeah, that's that we, like I said, we talked about it on Holocron Chronicles and building up that kind of story and having M add to that, and then Todd, you just bringing in Afra. All of that's really talking to me, and Fallen Order 2. I'm really looking forward to. So,
could I ask just one quick question?
Yeah,
because you guys are way more versed at gaming than I am. Which studio do you think is going to do it the right way?
Oh, that's
Respawn. I mean, I'd say if Respawn will be awesome.
Yeah.
They'll nail it. It may not be the franchise or the part of Star Wars you want, but they will make a game that you will love to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean Ubisoft too. Like,
Sure.
That's.
I think it depends on what kind of game Ubisoft is making, though. Are you like a Jedi going in this open world? Or are you like a bounty hunter? Are you a Mandalorian? Like, what are you playing in?
Right.
Like awkward conversations, like and really lots of little mini quests, and have to do this. You may get tired of that. It might not be enough good writing. That's a big part
I think as long as the studios are allowed to pick the projects that are right for them, like if this is studios coming up with these ideas and pitching, and Star Wars saying who wants to make a Star Wars game, and Ubisoft comes up and says, here's a game we want to make. It leans into our strengths. We've learned this from The Division. We've learned this from Assassin's Creed. We want to take this and fit it into this world, and here's how. And Star Wars goes, 2 thumbs up. Let's do this. I think any single one of these studios could do that, and that's why I said, Star Wars Hunters is a Zynga game, but like, if they pitch that and that's what they want to make, and it's not just some sort of money grab, like that game could actually be fun as a hero shooter. It's yet to be seen, right? So like, I'm really hoping that any of these studios can knock it out of the park. But
what's interesting, Mark, is when I pitched these to my son, Hunters was the one that he was drawn to. It's on the Switch. He's like, it's a good experience. That could be fun. And he's huge into Mandalorian.
I would say check out videos of it. It seems very much a mobile game experience, unfortunately. So if you're fine with that, that's fine. But I saw it, I'm like, this just looks kind of ridiculous. But you know what? That works for some people. I would say the cool part about this is they're not tied to just EA anymore. This has allowed them to do the Marvel mindset of like they can pick the right studio and leverage their talents and do this versus like EA has to find the right studio and they have to balance what they're doing. So this is a really good focus, and Disney, John T. Drake is behind Disney's gaming, and I think he's doing the right thing. So this is really an exciting era for Star Wars.
For sure. Yeah. We'll see where it goes from there. Todd, you want to wrap us up?
Absolutely. So that is it for the show, folks. I hope you had a good time. Star Wars is coming. It's really kind of exciting to hear everybody's thoughts on Star Wars, and we want to hear from you, obviously. So follow us on Twitter. In the merry ways, you'll hear about that in the end credits that Mark provides so kindly. But with that, Corey and Sean, thank you for joining us. Tell the folks where they can follow you in the world of interwebs if they want to hear from you.
You can follow me personally at I am Corey NHD on Twitter or Instagram. I run the Boss Rush Network. You can go to bossrush.net to find all of our stuff. We do a plethora of podcasts. I host the Boss Rush podcast, Nintendo Power Block, which is approaching episode 300. I'm also, amazing. Yeah, I know. We were talking about it the other day. I was like, man, that's crazy. We have a retro and nostalgia podcast called Standard Definition, where we are doing an MCU rewatch. We're doing a Disney animated rewatch. We just wrapped Indiana Jones, so you can check that out. And we have a plethora of other shows you can check out too. Crossroads, which is a gaming news podcast, and you can check it all out at bossrush.net.
Corey, thanks for being on. This is fantastic. Sean, tell people where they can follow you and your Viking.
NYHUSSEAN for the PlayStation, NYHUSSP at the Xbox, and at Sean Nyhus at Twitter. As always, I just appreciate being on, and you guys just keep doing what you're doing. Corey, I'm definitely going to subscribe. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you out in the Destiny arena.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm always looking for more people to play Destiny with. So,
well, this was awesome because Corey and I go way back.
Yeah,
and it's always fun. And I love the fact that these internet relationships, these friendships exist, and they continue on as we've seen Corey form a family, get married, have kids. Sean has multiple kids. My son is 16. This is awesome. That's what's all about gaming is finding people you can game with and have a great time. And that's why we do this podcast. So thank you, folks, for being along our journey. And we just always want to remind folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.